Hello, Magic players and collectors. Welcome back to the Land Library. I'm your librarian, and in this episode of Latest Loadout, I'm going over Innistrad Remastered. This set released January 24th of 2025, and although this is not the first remastered set, it is the first one I'm covering. This is going to be a bit of a shorter video. Remastered sets don't have like a commander set, they're exclusively reprints, and just like Jumpstart from Foundations, the format legality of all the cards doesn't change. So with nothing like new to cover, I'll try to fill the gaps with a little bit more of like history of the cards. Coming as no surprise to anyone, the first returning lands on this list are the basics. This set has all of its basics with returning art from previous sets, but with retro frames. And I know everyone is dying to know which ones got reprinted, so I'll tell you. First off, we've got a swamp and an island from original Innistrad, a plains and both forests from Avacyn Restored, an island and mountain from Shadows over Innistrad, a plains and swamp from Innistrad Midnight Hunt pre-built decks, and the remaining mountain from Innistrad Crimson Vow. And there are no full art basics in this set, there's just those 10. Next up are the slow lands. These are a group of all 10 dual color combos that come in tapped unless you already have 2 or more lands in play. These include Deathcap Glade, Deserted Beach, Dreamroot Cascade, Haunted Ridge, Overgrown Farmland, Rockfall Vale, Shattered Sanctum, Shipwreck Marsh, Storm-Carved Coast, and Sundown Pass. Originally, the enemy colors were printed in Crimson Vow, and the allied colors were printed in Midnight Hunt, so this is the first time they've been together in a single set. Unfortunately, the borderless versions did not get reprints. And then we've got Evolving Wilds, a classic tap and sack to search for a basic and put it in play tapped, then shuffle. This is a very commonly reprinted card, but this art is a fairly rare one, only seen twice before. This art was first added in Dark Ascension and was the first new art for Evolving Wilds, in a set at least, because there was a promo with different art before this one, but this was the first one in a set. But moving on, there's a couple of double-sided cards that both do their double-sidedness a bit differently. First, we've got Westvale Abbey, which can transform into a creature, but unlike most creature lands, aka man lands, it does not stay a land. It can tap for a colorless, pay 5 mana and a life to tap and create a 1/1 white-black human cleric creature token. That's a bit of a mouthful. Or pay 5 mana and sacrifice 5 creatures and then tap it to transform it by flipping it to the other side, and it then untaps as a creature. The creature side is a legendary despite the land side not being a legendary, so that's a bit of an interesting interaction. Only one can be transformed, but you can have as many untransformed as you want. And its name changes to Ormendal, Profane Prince. This is a big creature with its 9/7 stat line, and it comes with flying, lifelink, indestructible, and haste. That's a lot of keywords that make it a huge threat. Also, it has a color indicator of black since it has no casting cost. It did transform from a land. And Westvale Abbey is also getting a retro frame in this set. This is the first reprint in a set because its only other reprint since its initial release in Shadows over Innistrad was in Secret Lair. The other double-sided card is Hanweir Battlements. This land can tap for a colorless or pay red and tap to give a target creature haste until end of turn. And its transformation ability is for 3 generic and 2 red, and then you tap, and if you have a creature named Hanweir Garrison, exile both of these cards, and then return them transformed as a melded card named Hanweir the Writhing Township, a legendary Eldrazi ooze with 7/4 trample haste and an ability that whenever it attacks it creates 2/3/2 Eldrazi horror creature tokens that are tapped and attacking. That one's another pretty big threat. This land and its partner have only ever been printed once before in Eldritch Moon. They didn't even get the Secret Lair treatment, and both of these transforming lands have gotten their side symbols updated to the current symbols, which is a little disappointing because the old symbols were much more fun. What are you doing here? I told you it's a remastered set. There's nothing new. What did you think would be here? Just keep moving. It's pretty clear that this set isn't going to have a very big impact on any format, seeing as how it doesn't change format legality of anything, or introduce anything new, but it does still have, some impact. New prints of older cards is pretty good for new players, and unlike the last set Foundations, which also had a lot of reprints, but reprinted a bunch of really common stuff, Innistrad Remastered printed a bunch of much more rare and more powerful lands. Westvale Abbey hasn't been seen in a set since its initial release 9 years ago, and although there is the Secret Layer print, which is a bit more recent, it's definitely not, cheaper than the original. Hanweir Battlements is in the exact same position, but without even the Secret Layer print. And while neither of these cards are going to break the bank, a card printed once a decade ago is not the easiest thing to track down, and of course you can buy things online, but for players who don't have easy access to online shopping, especially younger players, card stores are the best option, and these can be fairly hard to find. They just have a bit of scarcity to them, and the new reprints can greatly reduce that scarcity. As for the slow lands, these have been printed much more often, so they don't suffer from the same scarcity, but they're very good lands that'll run you at least a few dollars. And for a couple of the more used ones, like Shattered Sanctum and Deathcap Glade, you're looking at around $10 a piece for the original prints, or just older prints at all. So the impact of this set is much more about how these reprints can help more casual or younger players get their hands on these more easily, reduce scarcity, make it much easier to get in packs, just easier access to these cards. Yeah, it's gonna be a 0 out of 5. This stat isn't standard, so that's just an automatic 0. Commander is getting a 2 out of 5. With no new lands, there's not really any change to the actual legality of Commander, but some of these original prints can be a bit more rare slash pricey, especially for more casual players, and these reprints give a good opportunity to get these a little easier. Theme is 5 out of 5. Obviously, a remastered set's biggest strength is going to be its theming. It brings in the lands from all across the plane in a bunch of different sets into one set together. It's just cherry picked to fit perfectly. For the art, I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. The art in this set is all just reprints, and I know I docked points from Foundations for that, but while Foundations felt really lazy for its reprints, Innistrad Remastered feels more like a curated gallery. And we did get some extra frames, unlike all the basics and Westvale Abbey, making them distinct even with old art, but it would have been nice to see a few more alternate frames, like maybe a few borderless, or they could have even given a Land the Movie poster treatment. Overall, this is a 12 out of 25, a respectable middle ground score. This is a pretty cool set with good lands, it's just that its exclusivity to reprints holds it back in a couple of categories. If you've made it this far in the video, please drop a like for turn and subscribe for more land-filled content. If I missed anything, got anything wrong, or you just have questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next latest loadout when Aether Drift comes out.